Okay, uh, welcome back to the class, folks. Uh, so now I'm going to introduce the high performance work systems, as known as HPWS. And also, I would like to explain the firm performance as well. Uh, The concept of high performance work system, sometimes called high involvement work system also. The only difference is the involvement and performance. Uh, and also, someone said that high commitment work system. Actually, this is not important, but this is the good example to explain the high performance work system. So anyway, actually is HPWS emerged from the conviction that individual HR practices applied in isolation generate much smaller performance effects than practices applied as a coherent, mutually reinforcing system. So the principle is that HR practices exhibit complementarities. So the value of any single practice is amplified when it is combined with other compatible practices. It's because the combination creates organizational capabilities that no single practice can generate alone. Okay? So the seminal conceptualization of HPWS comes from Applebaum, Berg, and Kelleberg, 2000. So in their landmark study, the manufacturing advantage, why high performance work system pay off. So their theoretical framework, often called the AMO model, this one. So this model argues that employee performance is a function of three components that HR systems must simultaneously develop. So first, A is ability, and the good example is that knowledge, skills, and competences requires to perform effectively. And also M is motivation. So a good example is that the willingness and drive to apply those abilities to the firm's goals. And last, O is that opportunity. So the organizational structures, work design, and decision-making authority that enable motivated, capable employees to actually contribute as well. Okay, so I would like to explain more detail and deep dive into the AMO framework. So the AMO framework. Uh, so according to the AM framework, performance is function that ability, multiple, and motivation, multiple, and opportunity. So this is the basic concept of AMO framework. The first component is that ability. So ability means that can they do that? Can they do it? Ask. So in a HR practices that build it there's a rigorous selections and skill-based training and development programs, knowledge sharing systems as well. So I directly write for you guys. So HR practices, rigorous selection and skill-based training and development programs and knowledge sharing system. Actually, knowledge sharing system is the big issue in recent days, particularly in a real business era. Uh, is it because I firmly can say that all organization and all employees use AI, and also you guys also use AI, I know. So during the AI age, knowledge sharing is the most important value in organization. So as many organization and company try to share their knowledge, as for example, prompt to use the AI and also some useful code to build the automation, the workflow using the AI, and they share it and they want to make the more performance and make the more money, more profits from the knowledge sharing. So many organizations try to focus on how to share the knowledge nowadays. Anyway, uh, so organization mechanism is that back to the class. Okay, so organization. So someone have a huge interest in AI. It's a must study for the knowledge sharing things because oops, so many organization focus on to hire the people, someone who has a good knowledge sharing skills and knowledge sharing knowledge itself. So if someone has huge interest in AI and knowledge sharing, just to do it. If you become a master about this era, you will get a job easily in Korea and everywhere in the world. Okay, let's back to the class. So organization mechanism. So due to these reasons, organization build the human capital stock of the organization. Okay. So what is the performance outcome? So there are several outcomes. Um, higher individual and team performance as well. Then reduce error rates, of course, And maybe last faster learning curves. Okay, this is all things about the ability. Then second component is that the motivation. So main question is that will they do it? So HR practice is that this one. Performance contingent pay and recognition systems and meaningful work design and career development pathways like that. So performance contingent pay and recognition system and meaningful work design and career development pathway. So what is the organizational is mechanism? Maybe organization will align employees interest with organizational goal. Okay, this is so logical, right? With OR goals. And unless discretionary is effort beyond the contract minimum also. So what is the performance outcome? High engagement, right? Much higher engagement. And lower absenteeism. And stronger students behavior, OCB. And reduce turnover intention. Okay, this is the main performance outcomes about the motivation. And last one is what? Opportunity. So the main question is that can they contribute? So HR practices that is the empowerment and autonomy, team-based work design, information sharing, cross-functional. And organization mechanisms that create the organizational conditions for capable, motivated employees to actually apply there. And performance outcome is that innovation, faster problem solving, customer responsiveness, and knowledge recombination as well. So opportunity huge related with the some results, some outcomes as well. Okay, good. So we are looking for the critical insight like that. Of course, all three are necessary because function. You guys must memorize the function. A multiple and O. So all three are necessary. So the absence of anyone breaks the performance chain. It's a firm with highly capable, motivated employees, but rigid hierarchical structures that prevent contribution, which means the low opportunity. So we're underperform its potential. And a firm with empowered employees in an enabling structure but inadequate skills, which means the low ability. So will generate is committed effort directed at the wrong activities. So, and last example is that a firm with capable, empowered employees but poorly designed incentive systems that undermine motivation, which means the low motivation. So we suffer from free riding and disengagement. So high performance work system must address all three simultaneously as well. Uh, and also here is the core practices of HPWS, a systematic review. There are 6 core practices. The first practice is that selective staffing and rigorous recruitment. As high performance firms invest sustainably more in hiring. So people is everything. So they invest sustainably more in hiring than their peers. So the logic is straightforward. The cost of mishiring is enormous. The estimates range from 1 to 3 times annual salary for professional roles, and no amount of subsequent training can fully remedy a fundamental poor personal organizational fit. The research by Schmidt and Hunter, 1998, in a comprehensive meta-analysis demonstrated that the predictive abilities of structured interviews, the cognitive ability tests, and work sample assessments so dramatically exceed unstructured interviews, the most commonly used selection technique. So the strategic dimension goes beyond technical component screening. So HPWS selection system also um, um, assess the cultural fit like that. So the alignment between candidates' values, work style, and interpersonal approach and the organizational behavior norms. So this culture screening, oops, sorry. So this culture screening is particularly important for knowledge-intensive firms where collaboration. Okay, is the core. So in is knowledge-intensive firms where collaboration, trust, and informal knowledge sharing are primary mechanisms of value creation. So Southwest Airlines, the good example for that. Southwest Airlines famously screens for attitude over technical skill in its cabin crew selection. So believing that technical skills can be taught, but service orientation and peer group warmth cannot. A philosophy directly embedded in its competitive model of customer service differentiation. Okay. The second practice is that extensive training continuous development. So high performance work system is the firms invest in training at rates substantially above industry norms, which means that not as a compliance requirement or an employee benefit, but as a strategic investment in organizational capability. So the distinction between training as cost and training as investment is more than is rhetorical. So it reflects fundamentally different assumption about whether employee capabilities are fixed inputs or developable assets. Here is the Becker's human capital theory. This is very classic, but very inspirable. So his theory provides the foundational framework. So general human capital So skills applicable across multiple employers is typically financed by employees themselves through to lower wages during apprenticeships or formal education. So for specific human capital, skills valuable is primarily is within the current organization, arising from organization-specific processes, knowledge systems, relationship networks, and cultural norms is appropriately financed by the employer. So because it creates value for the firm, cannot easily be transferred to competitors. So HPWS firm deliberately invest in building firm-specific human capital. So creating a form of human capital lock-in that makes employees both more valuable inside the firm and less valuable to potential external employers. So simultaneously strengthens retention incentives and competitive protection as well. The good example is that the Toyota case. So Toyota's Celebrate production system is the canonical example of a firm-specific human capital creation. So Toyota's assembly workers are trained not merely to perform their designated tasks, but to understand the entire production system. So to identify and report quality problems at any stage, so to participate in continuous improvement, which means the Kaizen, activities and cross-train in multiple roles. So this training is mostly costly. So Toyota's new hire training period is measured in months, but it creates organizational capability. So, for example, geographic production and rapid problem-solving capabilities, no competitor has fully duplicated in 50 years. It's amazing, right? Okay, then we move to the next practice. Next practice is the performance appraisal and development feedback. So HPWS firms use performance appraisal not primarily as a compliance mechanism for documenting termination decisions, but as a developmental tool for building employee capabilities and aligning individual contributions with strategic objectives. So the research literature distinguishes sharply between administrative appraisal systems. So focused on categorizing the employees for pay, promotion, and termination decisions, and development appraisal systems. And focused on providing actionable feedback, is identifying development priorities, and engaging employees in their own performance improvement as well. So here is the Lawless research. The Lawless research demonstrates that a firm whose appraisal system emphasizes development of feedback is employee involvement in goal setting. So Roller's research is well known for goal setting theory also. In Korea, 목표 설정 이론. So goal setting theory is well known, and managers as coach models generate significantly higher employee commitment and performance than those whose appraisal systems are primarily administrative. So this finding has contributed to the dramatic growth of continuous performance management systems. The replacement of annual appraisal cycles with ongoing feedback conversations, project-based check-ins, and peer review mechanisms at firms including Adobe, Microsoft, Deloitte, and General Electric uh, So as well. Okay. Then okay, we look for the next practice. So next practice is the performance contingent compensation. So Aegis theory, 대리인 이론. In Korean. Anyway, so HBWS firms link a meaningful proportion of employee compensation to measurable performance outcomes at the individual, team, and organization level. So the theoretical foundation is the H theory. So when employees' interest and organizational interest are misaligned, so when employees can exert effort without it being fully observable and rewarded, so moral hazard and shrinking emerge. Okay. So performance contingent is pay realigns incentives by making employee rewards a function of organizational outcomes rather than input metrics like hours worked. So, however, the research on performance contingent pay reveals the important nuances that complicate the simple agency theory prescription. So Desai and Ryan shows that they demonstrate that by the self-determination theory, 자기결정 이론 in Korean. So self-determination theory demonstrates that the extrinsic rewards can crowd out. So many students, many people don't agree that is, but so according to their theory, so extrinsic rewards can crowd out intrinsic motivation. So the internal drive to perform well because the work itself is meaningful and engaging. So particularly so for a knowledge work requiring creativity and problem solving. So this crowding out effect has been documented in experimental and field research. So software developer offered large bonuses for generating code, produced more lines of code, but wrote code of lower quality and creativity. So high-performance work system firms, therefore, calibrate performance contingent pay carefully, using it to align effort direction rather than to substitute for intrinsic motivation, and combining it with meaningful work design and autonomy to preserve the intrinsic motivation that knowledge work requires. The next practice is that the employee voice and participation. So high performance organization systematically create channels through which employees can contribute ideas, raise concerns, and participate in decision affecting their work. On these mechanisms, suggestion systems, quality circles, work consoles, or employee surveys with response commitments, open door policies like that. So serve multiple strategic functions simultaneously. So they provide the firm with operational intelligence that the management would not otherwise access. So frontline employees often see quality problems, customer friction points, and process inefficiencies more clearly and earlier than managers. So they increase employee commitment by communicating the employee perspectives are valued and that the organization is not a purely top-down hierarchy. So, and they reduce costly turnover by providing employees with legitimate channels to raise concerns. Okay, so according to Hirschman's famous code voice, rather than forcing them to choose between silent suffering, which means the loyalty or departure exit. So the strategic importance of employee voice is most visible in its absence. The Boeing 737 MAX disaster of 2018 and 2019, in which two crashes killed 346 people, is quite huge. It's huge disaster, right? So, it's preceded by documented internal concerns raised by engineers that were insufficiently escalated through the organizational channels. So investigations revealed a corporate culture in which production pressure and managerial hierarchy systematically suppressed the engineering voice that should have been a quality safeguard. So this is an extreme case, of course, but it illustrates that the essence of effective employee voice is not merely a cultural shortcoming. So it is strategic and operational risk of potentially catastrophic proportions. Okay. So last practice is that team-based work design actually. So it's high-purpose work system firms organize the work around self-managed or semi-autonomous teams rather than purely individual task structures and creative problem solving. Uh, the evidence for team effectiveness in high knowledge environment is strong, right? So their research and their review in a comprehensive review of team research documents consistent positive effects of team-based work design on quality. So customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction, particularly when teams are given clear goals, adequate resources, appropriate autonomy, and effective coordination support. Okay. Um, Okay, here's the HackMath 5 conditions for team effectiveness, and just to read it. So we should break first, then back to the class. Let's take a break.